Jimmy, you got a haircut?
I did.
It looks good. It
Ready,
looks
Pat?
up good on the camera.
Does it?
Yeah.
I look like a Billy Idol. So tell me I look like
Just dye your
that.
hair blonde.
Yeah, I wanted it. That would be the only thing I would do. People say, "Oh, you go gray. Why don't you let it go gray?" I am going to let it go gray. That's what I want to do.
Okay, so here we are, the club chair part 4, and we're going to be just cutting the body out. And I have a guest today, Jimmy, who's, if you guys have seen the online classes, Jimmy has been featured in a lot of online classes. So.
Yes, I have nothing to do at the time, and you just manage to grab me all the time. So,
So not so much on the YouTube videos, but I thought I'd have him just sit in here and maybe watch me perform, if you want to call it that. But first thing we're going to do is review our measurements, and you're going to notice that if you see a little difference in the measurements since the last time, there might be. But that just goes to show you that I've erased this probably 10 times since I filmed the other class. And also that there is a little bit of subjectiveness to the measurements. You could be a little bit one way or the other because we're overcutting them. I guess the bottom line is I don't want people to really freak out at this point. We're not cutting anything to size. So that means that you can go a little bit faster on this, and I'm always interested in increasing your speed for those people who are actually trying to earn a living at this. You don't have to square up every measurement, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. But right now, let's get moving on and take a look at our measurements. The first measurement here, the deck, we're going to use another fabric for that. We can use a decking fabric or a piece of scrap that matches our fabric. That's just to save fabric. The reason I want to do that, especially on this, Jimmy, is that I look down at my measurements, and I would say I only have really one good measurement that I can use and get a width out of, maybe 2. I can get a width, the whole width out of the front seat,
all right.
and then 2 out of the outside arms. I can side by
Close,
side.
right.
So I cannot railroad this fabric, meaning I can't turn it sideways because it's got a little bit of a
Pattern to it.
stripe to it in the background. So
Okay.
we have to run it this way. So we are, restricted to the width of the fabric with our measurements. So what that means is, let's just measure our fabric first just to get a good, sometimes measure the fabric to see what we got. We got a bonus with the 58 inches on this fabric, which is really good. It's
So
an
now
extra.
you get 2 here.
It does change things, doesn't it, Jimmy? So let's put 58
Wow.
inches up here as the width of our fabric. We see this would be a good standard, Jimmy, here for that 54 inch because that's 27. But what I'm going to do is, your instincts are good. I'm going to take this first because I can get 2 out of a width. So what I'm simply going to do is I can even take a little bit more because the object here is probably, we're going to have a piece of chalk, is to probably square up the fabric as much as possible, and that's why you want to take the good measurements or the square measurements first. I'm just making slash marks, Jimmy, because we're not too concerned with the square piece of fabric yet. I'll explain that in a minute. So what's our top up and down measurement on that, Jimmy?
Is 19.
19. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to go 19 here. I'm going to go 19 over here. And for all you guys, you want to put another slash mark, that's fine. Another one over here. Notice I'm not even going to draw these lines together. Okay.
Well, you're such a pro.
Well, we're trying to show people shortcuts, Jimmy, because people have been watching me for a while, and I'm getting calls from people who have actually opened up upholstery shops. So what we're doing is we're just trying to show you the ways we stripped this piece of furniture, and really, I can't remember how long it took, but it was a very short amount of time. And then your scissors, if they're sharp enough, you can glide them like that. Another way you can save. Very important before, right, Jimmy? I've taught you, before you remove the fabric, you want to fold it back, what it is, and also take the time to put top.
Right.
So that's the outside arm. That's the outside arm top. See that? Outside arm top. So you could cross that out. We got that. Going to put these aside. We're not worried about our cushions, which I have set up over here. That's later, another show. Now look, I have another roll. I have another fresh start here. So what I'm going to do, Jimmy, is I know that this might go off camera a little bit, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to go right to the edge, and I'm going to get another squared up. I'm going to square up this piece. You could do that every so often to keep yourself honest. I'm going to bring it this way and cut that off. So the fabric, you cannot pick up a line either horizontally or vertically too. This is why it's a style of cutting that I'm doing. Sometimes you can go by, if you have a plaid for instance, you go by the plaid. You can't do that with this. There's no distinguishable
It's
I
a
wish
res-
it did, but it doesn't. Okay, so the next measurement we see, what do you think, Jimmy? Do you think what the next one would be? Front seat?
Yeah, the
That's
front.
exactly right. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually gonna take the whole width. I'm gonna take the 58 on that, so that I start cleaning my next one.
Oh, okay, because you can't really, now you're hodgepodging the
I wanna
the
stay
cut.
clean, but you do want a hodgepodge in a little while that's gonna happen. And the reason you want a hodgepodge, as you call it, there's a point when you have to do that. And you don't want to cut straight cuts across, so you want to save that for piping. I'll explain that in a minute.
Well,
too.
right,
So,
10 inches.
what's the front seat up and down?
Where are we? Oh, 12.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go along here. 12, 12, 12, 12, and another 12. People say, how come he doesn't square it up? Because your important thing is keeping it straight. When you have a fabric like this, keeping it straight when you're working on the piece, when you're applying the pieces, you want to just make sure that your center of your fabric is centered on this. You don't want to be too slobby with this, but this isn't going to be. This part here does not have to be perfect. Okay. So now I'm going to mark this. Notice how this is the front, right, Jim? Front seat, right?
Okay.
Why is he so descriptive, and why is he writing in the middle of the fabric? Because if you write over here and you go, I know that this looks obvious, but some aren't so obvious. Some look more square-like.
Yes.
So it's important to be in the middle of the fabric and identifying what it is and also the direction. Okay, so now you can erase front seat. We'll put that over there. And we're all set for our next measurement. Let's just take a look. Using our new 58 inches, we have a 29 now, which is half a 58.
Right, 16 up.
And then we have a 30, an outside back.
So 2 of those.
Well, we only need one of these and we need one of these. What about the inside arms? Those are 30,
So a little short. with
side
that.
to side. We're short an inch, so sometimes, you guys, what I do is, and this is really worth it, and could save yourself a whole job or getting extra fabric. I just want, if you can, I'm just going to go over and measure the arms again. I'll be right back. Worth it. Guess what, Jimmy?
What's that?
We could snuggle this down to 29, so I want you to change that to a 29.
Really? You give
This
me.
is really interesting because that extra 4 inches that the manufacturer has given us on the fabric is going to save us already almost a yard of fabric. That
Right.
saves. You see that? You see that, right?
Yeah,
'Cause we would have
because
had
you
to
had
double up. We would have had to go one on top of the other one.
28. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's cut that because I'm excited when I have a measurement that works, right? So 29. We could still do our little hash marks. We don't have to get out our square. By the way, I never owned a square in an upholstery shop in my life. Not a good thing.
Why is that?
Because fabric doesn't square up like wood. Fabric, when they mill it, it's tight on the edges because they have to put it in the pins.
Right.
So it's never straight anyhow.
Right.
So on fabric, you're better off if you can pick up the grain, which we cannot on this. So we're reaching this, you pick up on the grain, you can use that. So sometimes you actually have fabric that when you pick up on the grain, you cut it along the grain, it actually looks like a crescent moon.
Okay.
Some fabrics that are pulled so tight.
Okay.
So therefore, that's what you do is when you come over, it's a little trick in the industry, is just make little cuts on the salvage to loosen the fabric up a little bit to get you a better lay of the fabric. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're learning a lot today, aren't you, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm going to be asking questions about cutting it on the side there.
Right, so now we're going to go up 28, right? 28 is the up and down measurement, right?
Yes.
Oftentimes I repeat myself, even when I'm
Well,
doing
that's
this,
good.
because you don't want to lose yourself in the directions, and it's easy to do that, you guys. So let's split this up, the middle, right up the middle, just enough to cover our inside on, side to side. Let's bring this down a little bit. Notice how I have it scrolled, how I can pull it easy to me. And notice how I'm about waist high with my table. That's also very helpful. A lot of people use ping pong tables because of that, because they seem to be the right size.
Oh, the width and the length of it?
Yeah, and the height. Everything seems to line up. So let's write inside arm, right?
Yep.
Now I only put the inside arm because I know that I'm at the top. But for you guys, an over description is better than an undescription, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks later you're looking at it saying, what am I thinking here? What am I doing here? So a lot of times what I see is people writing the description on the side, on the corner. And that can be a problem if it's on the corner, right?
Okay.
It has to be in the center. Okay, so now what do we got left there, Jimmy?
We got the top, inside back, we have 31-36. Outside back, 30-30.
Well, now we're into, I know I can't really reduce any of these measurements, so now we're into an area.
Where you're going to have to take a lot of the fabric?
That top seat, I'll go over and measure that again to see if we can get that to 28. If we change that to 28, we can save a little fabric there. Let's do that.
Okay.
It's just enough. 28 would be okay.
You sure?
Yeah, it's just...
Wow, you are razor
We're
cutting.
saving fabric.
Well, you know, it's always good that if you can try to say, okay, without denying yourself the extra fabric to make it right.
Right.
You know, I mean, an inch would, you know, you would.
I've seen it where an inch can make you over an inch if you can run out of fabric.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
So today, because fabric's so expensive too, that we're trying to save customers money any way we can.
Well,
So we're not overestimating the adages. Sometimes we get caught. So this is a way of really starting out conservatively when you're cutting fabric.
Okay.
Usually you don't get into trouble when you really think it out. That's why we plot everything out like we do. So let's do the outside back, which is 30. Now you guys are going to see why I go back on measurement sometimes. 30
30-30.
by 30. That's an unusual measurement. Usually you don't get square measurements in upholstery. We're going to start that off there. I did do a whole line there, which I didn't need to do. Okay. Now when you start getting into cushions, you guys, then you have to make sure things are square. Outside back. Okay, you could cross that out, Jimmy.
I gotta get you some markers.
Now what I'm going to do is I am going to try to pick up the grain on this one just to see if I can. It's really difficult on this fabric to get it square. I'm really concentrated. I'm looking at the tip of my scissors to see how straight I can get it. It's really hard. I couldn't do that too much. My eyes would get strained. The reason I did that this is the top seat, which has to be really exactly 28. Let's see if we got 28. Yep, we're exactly 28. And what is it, 8 inches the other way?
Yeah.
8 inches. 8 inches. Let's try to get this. I'm slowing down a little bit, you guys, because this is a fitted piece. Okay. Now, notice the terminology is going to change here, Jimmy. So what you want to do is make this is the top seat,
Okay.
front. It's not referred to as top and bottom. This is really important. Because when you're doing cushions, you have a boxing that has a top and a bottom.
Okay.
And a seat top and a bottom is referred to as the front and the back. I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay, could you cross that one out?
Yes.
What's the last one?
Let's see, what do we got here? We have the panel, if you're interested in that.
You know what, Jimmy? I am interested in that because how wide are the panels?
15 up and down and 6 across.
6, 12. See, 6 and 12. And did you say 15 up and down?
No, 15, yeah, 15 up and down, 6 across.
I think we've got our panels. This is good use of the fabric right here. Now I'm interested in not cutting across. I'm interested in saving this piece, this odd piece over here. So the reason is you don't want to be cutting across at this point because we may do piping. I'm not sure yet, but I want to make sure that We like piping in one long straight line rather than a piece. So that's why we're going to keep that. So this is a P, so you can erase that, Jimmy. We got the panels. And the last thing is for the body.
3136.
Okay. I'm going to go right up. So this is where you can see you start what we call wasting a little fabric because you don't have anything to match over there. Although, when we get to our cushions, we might be able to fit a cushion top and a bottom over here, but we'll see. The way I do it is I do the cushions later. I don't do them. That people might find that unusual. I don't do the cushions. Not all the time. I don't do the cushions. I like to get the body done if I can, then focus on the cushions. To me, you've got too many pieces cut at once, and too much can happen.
Too
to
much
that.
confusion.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I think we got our measurements wrong. So we need to check that. 31's up and down, right?
Right.
Jimmy? 31 is up and down, and the 36 is side to side, right?
Right.
So it's just, I almost made a mistake because I blabbed too much.
Not you.
I caught it though.
Oh, thank God.
So that would have been a mistake.
Wow. You gotta throw your back out again.
You gotta be careful.
Yeah.
That's the inside back, right?
Yeah.
All right, that's it. And before we leave, I'd like to, maybe Jimmy, you can talk a little bit about your online classes and what you think about what the difference might be between the YouTube and the online classes.
Well, the YouTube is a very quick lesson. I mean, it gives you a very good idea of what you should be doing for a chair, an ottoman, a wingback chair, for example. With the online, we get a little more impersonal about the cuts and what you should do with this. How about that? What do you think about the fabric? How setting up the chair itself, especially if you completely gutted it. So yeah, it's totally different. I mean, more like a hands-on lesson every time you do it.
And you're doing the work where I'm just telling you.
Yes,
what
and
you're doing.
it becomes practice and theory. It's great that you say, okay, we're going to do it this way. Okay, this is how you do it, and you kind of apply yourself as you go.
So they do take time.
Yes.
They do take time in both filming and editing. So we do charge. I think it's the best value on. We've been told this. It's not just me saying it. It's the best value online. So we continue to do it, and hopefully people will support us in that endeavor.
Yeah, I mean, we have added quite a bit. I mean, we're doing a channel back chair right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully down the road a wingback chair. So we're going to kind of work with that, and hopefully we'll get some ideas from some of the customers and some of the people from YouTube about what some of the projects or what they would look forward to.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's kind of the support system is our live question and answer show, which we're going to be doing one today, and also the forum, which you're an administrator of.
Yeah.
And by the way, I like your shirt, so
Oh
keep
yes,
up the advertising.
yes, but it's not signed by you. It would be worth so much more if we could actually have it signed. So yeah.
Thanks, Jimmy.